First impressions are so impactful, and they definitely make a difference. You don't want to have to overcome a bad first impression. And so you want to make sure that you look your best. So we want to answer this question, how to dress at a networking event. And we're going to talk about online as well as in person because there is a slight difference. And in this video, we're going to cover a couple topics. The general how to dress for a networking event, then how to dress for a networking event for men, how to dress for a networking event for women, and how to be prepared for the networking event. And if you want to skip ahead to any of those topics, you can click in the description on the time and it will take you right to that chapter of this video. Now, when you think about how should I dress for a networking event, yes, we do want to make a great first impression. And sometimes people think I'm just going to wear my company uniform. Though I have to ask, is the company uniform something that is what you do the work in, or is it how you visit prospects? And to me, when it comes to what do you want to have on attire, I think it's really important for you to dress as if you were going to meet one of your best exciting prospects, like the biggest and best that you've ever had. I think that if you go with that mindset, then your attire should hopefully follow. And we'll get in a little bit more in the specifics in the men and the lady in a couple of minutes. Though you want to make sure, regardless of what it is that you're wearing, that there's no holes, that it's not ratty. Now, I know nowadays hold jeans are in, so I think there's a difference between, hey, my elbow and my jacket's worn out versus there's stylish holes and stuff. I usually buy pants that don't have holes in them. Totally up to you. You also want to make sure that it fits. So if you've put on a little weight or you've lost a little weight, are you still wearing something from your previous weight? Because if it's too tight or too loose, like to me, if it's too tight, it just looks uncomfortable. If it's too loose, it almost can come across as sloppy. So you want to make sure that you're showing yourself in such a way that is very presentable. And speaking of being presentable, I think that in addition to how you dress, what it is that you wear, I think you want to pay attention to like your hair. And do you need to shave? Is it, and guys, I'm always like, okay, guys, if you shave your head, can you shave your ears too? Or I remember watching a video on the Discovery Channel or something. They were interviewing this guy on Alcatraz, and he had like this one long nose hair that was just like the whole time you're watching it thinking, why did they not pluck? So, you may want to just take a look at yourself and see, am I well groomed? And lastly, on this kind of issue, how do you smell? You want to make sure that it's mostly neutral, maybe a little perfume or cologne, but not overboard. Smelling like smoke is probably not a great way to make a first impression. Or if you just came from the gym, shower might be good prior to going to the event. Or have we brushed our teeth lately? Do I need a mint or gum to have that fresh breath? So I think all of that goes into your overall first impression that you're going to make when you're networking, which does impact, the dress as well. Now, I think it is interesting. We live in this online versus virtual world. I do find that it is a little bit, it's more acceptable in the virtual world to be a little casual or a little bit more casual than you are in person, though you don't want to be in jeans and a t-shirt. You don't want to be, no hair, no makeup, no hair, no makeup, but not done your hair or not done your makeup. To me, you want to show up on Zoom, on camera, the same way that you show up in person. I've seen a couple people with the pandemic that they used to be meticulously groomed, hair done, makeup done, nails done. And then it was like they stopped doing all of it. And you're like, is that even the same person? Now, I am all about in the virtual world, the, business on top, comfy on bottom. I've got on some joggers right now, but you can't see them. However, you want to be careful. If for some reason you may stand up, when I stand up, my waist you don't actually see on the camera, but be careful. I've heard horror stories of people that opted for without bottoms, and everybody got to see them. Now, when we're in person, there is one accessory that I recommend that you wear always when you're networking, and that's a name tag. I don't think it works quite the same when we're on Zoom, though I do recommend that your name in that lower corner is spelled right. Maybe has your company name or something that's going on. When we're networking, though, I think the name tag is really important. And I've had people ask, what side do you wear the name tag on? And yeah, I mean, there's like a for real answer to that and science, but I think that really you can wear it on whichever side you want. I mean, they say put it on the side so you can shake the hand, but to me, our eyes are going to go to the name tag regardless of if it's on the right side or if it's on the wrong side. Now, what goes on the name tag, though, I think is very important. In the 4.5 networking mistakes, maximize your networking efforts by avoid common mistakes. I actually talk about wearing a name tag because I think too often people wear a name tag and it's like your name and your profession. However, maybe not the way that you want to do it. When I first got involved in networking, I was back in my promotional products day and I wore a name tag that says Tiffanie Kellog Promotional Products. And I was all excited for people to run up to me and say, hey, Tiffanie, I want to buy promotional products from you. And nobody did. I was telling people what I did. They didn't have to ask. I mean, I could say Tiffanie Kellog Realtor. It's like, oh yeah, I know Realtor is good. I don't need anything from you. Or, insurance. That's a really great way to send people running. Now, a little aside, because I'm wondering, are you a fan of Stephen King? I am. I love this quote. Curiosity killed the cat, though satisfaction brought it back. And so to me, we've got an opportunity to create some curiosity when it comes to our name tag. Now, you might be thinking, no, I'm not really a fan of Mr. King, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Though, are you a fan of, did you enjoy The Shawshank Redemption? Was The Green Mile a movie that you enjoyed? Now, if you said yes to one or two of those, what's up with that if you said no to Stephen King? Now, some of you might be thinking, huh? So Stephen King is the author. The movies, The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption, are based off of books that he's written. Now, too often people are judging a book by the cover and they say, I don't like King. He's horror. He's icky stuff. It and Christine and Cujo. However, he's got some really amazing books otherwise. One book that I love by him is called On Writing. It is a nonfiction book on how to be a better writer. So I bring all this up because I think your name tag, there's huge opportunity in creating curiosity. So one of my favorite name tags that I like to wear when we're in person is Tiffanie Kellog R for L. And when people are like, what's that all about? Well, I help create referrals for life. And that leads me into my funneling conversation, which is a whole nother conversation. I'll put the link in the description below to learn more about that. It's a really amazing way to determine if the person you're in front of is a prospect or not within like 30 seconds. Know that your name tag should start, not end a conversation. Now, when it comes to how to dress for men, I don't think it always has to be a suit. And I mean, I live in Florida, so it's rarely a suit in Florida. There's probably only a couple professionals that you'll typically see in the suit. Though I do think you want to think about, how is it tailored? Does it fit you well? I think that, everybody's different. I wouldn't think of a ball cap as being appropriate attire for networking, but I've seen some guys that can pull it off. I'm the last person to judge on footwear because I've got tennis shoes that's part of my brand. Though, are your shoes clean? Sometimes I see the guys in the boots or even the sneakers and they're scuffy. Like, do your shoes need to be cleaned up or polished? I have this one pair of Converse that I love. However, they are not cute anymore, and I can't clean them up anymore. So they're more for fun than for networking. Guys, typically a belt will help the outfit out. Dark jeans do have a tendency, for whatever reason, to look a little bit cleaner and crisper. And maybe use the iron. And this could go for your men or your ladies. And we talked a little bit about the grooming. Make sure that you've shaved. I know sometimes, especially nowadays, the crazy beards are in, but please make sure it looks good. It's well maintained, not just all over the place. What to wear for a networking event for women? So I think it's a little bit harder for ladies than it is for men. It's just, there's so much other stuff going on. You do want to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, hair and makeup is done, whatever level is yours. I know when I was in my 20s, I really wasn't into makeup much, so I wasn't really wearing makeup at all to networking events or anywhere else. As I've gotten a little bit older, look, I wear a little bit more makeup. Whatever happens to work for you. But we want to be consistent and we want it to make sure that we look professional. So if you're not a makeup wearer, maybe just a little bit of powder, a little bit of color on the lips. Not saying that you have to, just something to think about. Now, we've all seen those ladies at the networking events that look like they're at the club. I don't recommend that you look like you're trying to find yourself a romantic partner. And I heard somebody once say that, you know, cleavage is okay, or a short skirt's okay, or high heels are okay, though not all three together. So if you're going to pick something a little bit fun and revealing, I think there's nothing wrong with that. One of the things that made me sad when I switched to socks, because socks are a huge part of my brand. So if we're in person, you'd see me speaking in my socks. I'll show you a couple photos really quick. I gave up the high heels. And I loved my high heels, but I thought high heels and socks would be a little too fetishy, so I go with the sneakers. So it's part of my brand. But so never do cleavage, short skirt, and high heels all together. That's where it goes a little bit like let's have a party versus let's get referrals. We want to remember to be referable. And you don't have to try and be sexy. That's a personal preference. So I do think we don't want to give the wrong signal of, you know, here's what we're trying to do. That being said, we also have to be careful. I've seen people that wear, you know, frumpy clothes, and people are making judgments on that. So we can go a little too skin tight and revealing, but we can also go a little too, And so we do want to make sure our clothes fit well. And really my goal is, do we look on the outside how we are on the inside? So do give some thought to your appearance. The last thing I wanted to add on here, because if we're thinking about getting dressed and what should we wear to a networking event, we're probably also thinking about going to networking events. So how do we prepare for a networking event? And I want to pull out of the 4.5 networking mistakes again. So in the 4.5 networking mistakes, I talk about the 19 networking nuggets, what to do before, during, and after a networking event, as well as how to deal with networking nervousness. And so I want to talk about the first 3 of the networking nuggets. The first is to find the right event. So we want to make sure the event has the right people there that we're looking to meet, whether that be our target market or our referral sources. We want to make sure that it fits well in our calendar. And I recommend that you make sure you schedule some time to follow up after the fact. Now, I know I went through that nugget really quick. However, I do have other videos that really go much more in depth for how to prepare for networking events. So I'll leave those in the chat box below. But moving on to networking nugget number 2, which is to bring your tools with you at all times. If we're meeting in person, this could be our name tag, our business cards, our calendar. If we're on Zoom, I don't think there's as many tools as we need. However, I like to make sure I have at least one beverage, which is my water, though sometimes I'll also have my tea. This is my tea. I don't do coffee. Yeah. Okay. So make sure you have the tools that are needed. And then the third networking nugget is to create a goal. So I love the idea of going into a networking event with an intention of how many prospects am I looking to connect with? How many referral sources am I looking to connect with? I'm not selling at the event, but I'm creating the introduction, and then hopefully I'm booking a meeting from the meeting, which to me is the purpose of the networking event. And I'm able to create some additional success. So now that you feel comfortable with what you're going to wear to your networking event, get out there and go networking. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think I missed? What else do we need to consider when it comes to how to dress when we go to a networking event? And while you're down there, be sure to like this video and subscribe to get notifications of upcoming videos. Happy networking, y'all.